Hi, lovies. How are you? Happy Tuesday it is today, unless you're watching the replay, and it could be any day of the week. But this is a session all about your questions. I'm going to do some Q&A. Really just wanted to continuously answer questions you may have around any areas of your business. So whether it's mindset, how do you build your business, the structures and systems, what do I do to grow my list, to build a community, to grow my tribe, to sign on clients, to have those powerful sales conversations, all of those sorts of questions and topics. And so for those of you that are watching this after it has been live, essentially what I'm doing is I'm answering questions that people post live here, as well as I have a slew of questions that people have asked before we even went live. On my left, I'm just going to read through those questions and start answering them. So how this really works is I'm going to answer your guys' questions. If you have a question and you pop on live, I will read them here and answer them as well. And if you can't join live, but you kind of see this is going on, definitely just like post your question in the Facebook group, and I will read that and look for it when I see it. So to get us started, I am going to answer some questions that came up in the group, as well as people who have personally messaged me and things like that around starting your business and really creating that business of your dreams. So the first question I have here is, I'm not making any money with my business so far. Should I start over? What should I really do there? And here's really what I want to share with folks around creating a coaching business or a consulting business or a freelance business, and really just what you should do if you're not making any money right away or at all or over time and things like that. And I'll answer that question in literally 2 seconds. That's not accurate. It's probably already been 5, but in a second. And what I would just have all you guys that are live do is just send me a hey so that I can see that the comments are coming through. I can see who's on the live. Just like give me a shout out to let me know you've joined. And then again, like as you have questions, definitely type them in here. And what I'm going to do in the meantime is start by answering. Thanks. The hat is my dad's. I forgot to mention that. I stole my dad's hat today because I was kind of like, hey, that's cool. I want to see how it works. It's a little too large, but I kind of like it. So thanks, love. Hey guys, how are you? So the first question that was asked that I'm going to answer now, and I'm so excited that you lovely ladies are on. Hi, Brandy. Hi, Kirsten. Hi, Megan. Hi, everyone. The first question was around, hey, started a business, it's not making any money, like what do I do? Do I leave it? Do I start over? Does that mean it's not worth it? And I want to preface that I'm answering this question for people that have service-based businesses. So whether you are a coach, a consultant, a freelancer, things like that. And there are a couple of ways to address this question. So I'm going to start with like, hey, you're not making any money. Are you like, if you were to have a really, truly real conversation with yourself, are you doing everything you can to make money in your business, and are you taking on money-making activities? And the reason why I ask this is because what I often find with folks is that you can feel like you're doing so much with your business. Like you're always working. You're working. And I believe I've given this example in either other videos, but definitely in my emails, is around like, hey, I'm doing all this work for my business and I don't feel like I'm going anywhere. And it's the experience of just like running on the treadmill. And what you end up doing potentially is, you're writing blog posts and you're creating content and, you're putting things out there, but you're not potentially like asking anybody to work with you or reaching out to potential clients and getting a sense of what they want, or even driving people to the content that you're creating. And so what I really recommend for people that are starting their business is that if you can, for like, at least a month, but I would really say like, 2 or 3, do these 5 activities every day and really commit to it and really take them on, then you'll kind of have a sense of whether this like service-based business is really right for you. And so some of those things are one, like really doing your mindset work, like really getting connected to what you really want, what you really desire, visualizing what you want, focusing on how many clients you want, and not wavering from how many you want. So if you are like, I would like 6 new clients this month, I'm making up numbers, then you have to spend the whole month doing activities catered towards you bringing on 6 new clients. So if you're like, I want to bring on 6 new clients this month, and then you spend half the month thinking about a group program you want to launch in like 6 months from now, and you know, the other half of the time writing blog posts just because it's fun, then like you're not really taking actions that will actually land you the 6 clients, the 6 new clients. So for those of you that are like, oh my goodness, my business isn't working, what's wrong? Really just stay connected to what you want, your desires, visualize, do your mindset work. Take actions around getting people on the phone. So literally just like message people that you know and ask them about, like, do they know your ideal client? Message people and following your Facebook page and your Facebook group and other Facebook groups that seem to be ideal clients that are connecting with messages that you're putting out there, and just say like, hey, would you like to hop on the phone? I'm going to do a free like assessment or something like that. So do things to get people on the phone. Definitely nurture the community. So if you have your own Facebook page or your Facebook group, continuously put out content, go into other groups, and literally just be there as a resource to answer people's questions. And my little sister, I think I've mentioned to some of you, is a health coach. And one of the things that she would do way before I started coaching her around how she can grow a successful business was she would just go into forums and answer people's questions and help them out. And she was just doing it because she's like, I have a lot of knowledge and I want to help you. But like that is organically an easy way for people to get to know you, to get a sense of who you are, to trust you, to know you know what you're talking about. So then later on, if you reach out to them and you say, hey, would you like to hop on the phone for a free 30-minute session? I'm growing this business. They'll be like, heck yeah, you've helped me so much just from your messages in a Facebook group or a forum or something like that. So consistently be adding value to other people's lives. Do whatever you can to grow your email list and continuously grow your email list. And then nurture that list as well. Send them emails, things like that. And definitely be asking people if they'd like to work with you. Have sales conversations. So if you have a service-based business and you're not making money, make sure you're like really committed to taking those money-making activities. The other thing I will say is that if you are in business and you're not crystal clear on who your ideal client is and what you're offering them and what they're getting out of it, then it could be a messaging problem. It could be a relatability problem. You may have something amazing to offer people and they could just not be getting that that's what you're offering them. So, you know, I had a really great conversation with someone earlier today around what their niche is, what they're really providing, what value they're really adding to their ideal client. And so the more you're crystal clear on that, the easier it'll be for people to go, oh, I get it. I'm totally the person you just described, and I'm having that problem that you just told me that you're going to solve with your business. So you really just want to make sure you're crystal clear on who your ideal client is, what their challenges are, and how you're helping them there. So that is my answer to that question so far. I'm sure I could go on and on about if you should make money. I mean, if you're not making money in your business, what you should do. The last thing I will say on it is that like you are the only person that can determine if you should or shouldn't keep doing what you're doing. And I trust I would trust my gut and my intuition and like feel like, am I doing the business that I should be doing? And if the answer is yes, then I will do everything I can that feels right and that makes sense to make money in that business. Of course, that's like legal and makes sense and all that jazz, but like I'll really put a lot of effort into really taking it on because it's something I'm so passionate about. So that's what I would say to folks in that situation. Hi lovies that just joined. What I'm doing is this is a Q&A session. So I have a bunch of questions that are here that I wrote down from the Facebook group and from people that sent me a private message. So I'm going through them. I've kind of bucketed them into categories a little bit. So if you have just joined, say hello because I see that you've joined. I just want to make sure that you're still around. And then also just if you have any questions, you can post them at any time and I'll just hop in and answer your questions. Again, it could be anything around your business, your list building, Facebook groups, content creation, sales conversations, anything along those lines. Those seem to be the buckets from the questions that I have over here, but it could also be mindset, you know, whatever it is that you've got, just hit me with your questions. So, hi lovey, glad you guys are here. So that was the first question around business. The next question was around how do you okay, is about managing your time and how do you really like manage your time so you're able to take on doing whatever it is you need to do. And this is a great question because oftentimes I find with entrepreneurs, like we have so many things that we want to do, and there are a couple of things that come up. One, we have time constraints. Two, we try to take on everything. And three, we may not be as in love with our calendar as we need to be. So what I will say around that is that your calendar is literally your best friend. Oh, hello, gorgeous. How are you, Emerald? Your calendar is literally your best friend. And so what I've started to do, and this could make a huge difference for you, is I write down like these almost like masterful to-do list of things that I know I need to do every month for my business, things I need to do every week for my business, things I need to do every quarter for my business, and then I add in things that I need to do and want to do in my personal life on a weekly, monthly, or quarterly basis, any extracurricular activities or volunteerism or activism type work that I do. I put in what it's going to take, and I just like write it down in this master list, and then I assign hours to it. And I almost create like this interesting puzzle, like, okay, I have to find, like 3 hours to do content creation in this week or something like that. I should make that into a blog post. Done. Or a free download. I can totally do this. Wait, were you talking about the calendaring or the business? Let me know, Megan. But for calendaring is really like what I like to do is have like, okay, I now know that I need every week a certain amount of hours to do this. So then it becomes like this interesting puzzle where I start going, okay, in a week, how many hours do I actually have to do certain things? Got it, yeah. Time planning and calendaring. I can totally do that. I look at how many hours do I actually have to spend time with my family, to do things for my business, to, work out, to eat, to sleep. I literally, like, my calendar has everything. It's like, take a break, eat, drink water, go out with friends, go to sleep, write an email blast. Like that, my calendar has literally everything humanly possible in it. And when things don't work, I'm able to go, okay, well, certain things are non-negotiables for this week, and I'm able to push things back later. So it's like, hey, I really know that I want to, I'm making this up, but like, I know I want to go to this meeting, and if I want to go to this meeting, let's say it's a cool networking event at night, I am going to have to move something else around maybe. And so the things that are non-movable, I can't move, and then anything else I kind of just play with and see if I can move it around. What I also put in my calendar is I put in things that aren't necessarily scheduled yet, but I make a plan for them. So if I know that in my business I have, a couple of slots open for new clients, then what I do is I put holds for meetings like with a new client as if the client is already scheduled in there, so that when a new client shows up for me, I'm like, okay, cool, well, these are the available time slots that you have that you can take for a session with me. Do any of these work? And so I do things like that. What I'll also do is I'll put in flex time. So I'll say, hey, I'd love to have a meeting with somebody to help me grow my business. It could be a mastermind partner, it could be a strategic partner, it could be really anything, and I'll just put in slots for that because I know that those are things that I'll want to have happen in my business. If I'm like, hey, I want to go to the gym a certain times a week, I put that in there. So I literally make it so that everything's in there, and that I have a couple of times that are holds for things that may come up or may happen that I really want to take on, so that my calendar isn't completely booked, so that I can't have any spontaneity, but it's definitely at least organized so that if somebody's like, ooh, can you meet with me this week? I'll know what slots I have available for them because I've put in slots specifically to hold for meetings. So those are some things that I do there. So if anybody has any other questions around calendaring and organizing your time, that's what I've got. What I also will say is that you have to do what works best for you and that it takes time. So if you're struggling with calendaring, don't beat yourself up over it. Everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but most people probably go through it, myself included, when I was getting started. So it's really just going, okay, what are the things that I can do to really make a difference for me, my calendar, all that jazz. So that being said, we've got some questions around Facebook. So I'm going to answer some Facebook questions. Megan, can you run ads for polls? Okay, so polls right now in Facebook, and this is totally subject to change because things change with Facebook all the time. But the places that you can run polls are in Facebook groups. So you can't really run ads for them. But what you can do, and what I've done in the past, is I've created a survey or my own sort of poll somewhere else, like through a Google document or through Typeform or somewhere, and then I put an ad for that. So it's not built into the ad, but people can click on it and go, sorry, I'm just reading this other question. People can click on it and go in and go, okay, cool. So now I'm going to take that on as a poll or a survey or something, because people see the ad for it, they know to click, they are able to do it, and everybody's happy. So it's not like a direct, like, hey, I just created this poll, but it's something that they can do there. So if you have any other questions there, definitely let me know, but that's kind of my strategy on how I go about that. The next question is really around how do you grow your Facebook group without annoying other groups, which is a great question and ties into another question around growing your email list. So I'm going to kind of do those back to back. And again, if you just joined, if you have any questions, definitely just put them in here as well. I know a lot of you submitted them in advance, so thank you. But how can you grow your Facebook group without annoying other groups? So one of the things that I do around growing my group, and if I'm going to do the strategy of like connecting with people in other groups, is that I just do something that is similar to what I spoke about a little bit earlier around going in, adding value to people in the group, just like answering their questions. And if there are people that seem like they're asking questions around, you know, the topic of your group or would make a huge difference for your group, what I'll do then is I'll go in and I'll say, hey, here's the answer to your question. By the way, if it's okay with you, I'm going to send you a quick private message. And then I send them a private message and I'm like, hey, hope the answer to your question was, hope you found my answer to your question helpful or useful. By the way, I wanted to send you a link to my Facebook group because we actually talk about this topic that you were interested in a lot. And so I just thought it would be, you know, helpful for you. And then you just send them over a link to their group and maybe they'll kind of come over and join. The other thing you can do is you can create polls inside other Facebook groups asking people, you know, like, hey, which of these topics are of interest to you? And then everybody who responds or likes, you can send them a message and say, oh, awesome, by the way, I actually covered that exact topic in my Facebook group. Do you want to, here's the link to it, come on over. So you can do it that way where you're not just like, I wouldn't kind of go into other Facebook groups and go, join my group, because that's typically against the rules of most Facebook groups anyway, but it's also just like not really like common courtesy. You probably don't want somebody doing that in your group. So it's really just around like adding value to people, and then the specific people that you think your group could help, reaching out to them directly and saying, hey, would you like to join my group? Outside of Facebook groups, the other ways that I grow my Facebook group is through lead magnets and, you know, email sequences. So if I have a freebie, typically on either the thank you page or in the first email that has the freebie in it, I'll invite people to join my Facebook group. And then in numerous emails following with the series, it could be a PS, it could be in the body, but I essentially like go out and ask people like, hey, if you're interested, join this group. So that's another way to do it. Around growing email lists, I do something very similar with email lists where I go in and I'm like, hey, if can you run ads to a Facebook group? You cannot. What you can do is you can, if you have people on your Facebook group join your email list, then what you can do is you can download the CSV file of everybody on your email list and run targeted ads to them, but you can't currently run ads targeting specifically people in your Facebook group. The other thing that I will say, though, around growing your email list is that you can do something very similar. You can go into other groups, you can answer their questions, you can say, hey, by the way, I have this lead magnet that goes into more detail, or you don't have to call it a lead magnet, but you can say, like, I have this freebie or I have this thing that has a lot more detail around it. Here it is. Hope it's helpful. You can, some other things I do to grow my list is I'll run Facebook ads to my freebie. I will post my freebie in other Facebook groups on days that they allow it, or if the group is just like, hey, do whatever you want, that's another way that I grow my email list. I will share it on social media, like every channel I have. So a freebie is typically like the link in my Instagram account. Then I'll do, Instagram photos in the body of the message, talk about the freebie and have a link to it. I'll just tweet about it. I will literally post it everywhere so that people know that they can get this freebie. Another thing I do and like to do is that on my business cards, each business card has like a bit.ly, it's like bit.ly / something. And I have a couple of different offers. And so depending on the person, I'll say to myself before I hand my card, like, oh, this is the freebie that I think would resonate most with them. And then I hand that to them so that I'm growing my list with my business cards as well. So I really just think of like every opportunity I can to grow my list. If somebody has me guest speak somewhere, I'll often offer a freebie that gets people on my list, like just different ways to do that. So I've been able to grow my list through those methods. It takes, I don't want to say it takes time, but it takes work. Like just you get faster at it as you go along. But if you just block time in your calendar and you get in the habit of going into Facebook groups, adding value to people's lives, direct messaging or PMing people that you really think would get value out of a freebie you have or out of joining your Facebook group or something like that, do that as well. Pin your freebies to the top of your Facebook page, to the top of your Facebook group, to the top of your Twitter account, like whatever you've got going on, pin it to the top. Use Pinterest to drive people to your freebies. There's literally like a list of ways to do it, and we'll be doing later, I believe it is next month, so like in about less than a month, maybe in like 3 weeks, I'm going to be doing a challenge around growing your email list. So that's definitely something that we can talk more about there, but the idea is like to really be able to take that on. I am still here, love. I have about like 7 minutes, so if you have any more questions, or if you have any questions since you're able to join, Lovey, let me know. The other thing I have here on the list is how do I create content for my group, and then how do I manage, my content calendar. So I'm going to kind of hit those at the same time because I do one and then I do the other. But essentially what I do is with every piece of content, I typically have a goal. I have a clear idea of who my ideal audience is, and I have like a general theme. And so the theme, and I'll give you what this looks like in reality, but like the theme is usually with some sort of intent. So for example, I am going to be launching, it's in April, the cart will open for my group coaching program, and the program will start in June. So I've built out my calendar, my content calendar through the launch, like all of that is planned out at this level. And it'll literally just say like, these are the days that I'm doing live streams, these are the days that I'm doing webinars, these are the days that I'm doing, maybe like a 4-part training series, like once a week. These are the days that I'm doing a 5-day challenge. And so I'll have all of that mapped out leading like before and through the launch. And so I'll know exactly when I'm doing something. And then what I'll do is I'll go, okay, well, what are people really getting out of the group program, and how can my content all ladder up into, hey, this is like a natural conversation around the group program. And so I then back into, okay, well, what does my audience really want to know about? What do they really care about? All of that is tied into the group program anyway, because I very much like use and work with you guys to determine what content I'll discuss there. But I will just back into what content is really right for me to share, and then I'll pick high-level themes. So it could be around getting one-on-one clients. It could be around creating passive income products. It could be around growing your email list. It really kind of depends on what I want to connect to my group program, but I'll map out that high-level topic. And then what I'll do is when it comes time to create the content, and I go through the same process, whether it's a blog post or honestly like an Instagram post or a Facebook Live. What I do is typically, okay, what problem do I want to solve for my ideal client? And then I'll do this thing that I do all the time that's like, where is my ideal client now? Where do they want to be? Where am I going to take them like on that journey with this free piece of content? So let's say I'm getting them here, and then I write all the steps of getting somebody from here to here, and I go through that in a piece of content. And then typically that content theme, there's like a broader theme that will be continued throughout the entire, it could be a week, it could be a month, it could be a lot of things. So I will say that that is kind of how I go about content there. So Paula's question is, do I find that Instagram works for coaches? I will say that that is a broad question in terms of the word coaches, but my short answer is yes, if done properly. And so if you're going to use Instagram, here's really what I would say that you do, and it also depends on what your goal is. So Instagram can do a couple of different things for coaches. One, it could be purely around brand awareness and having people know who you are and getting a sense of the lifestyle you live, because as a coach, typically whoever you're coaching is probably going to be attracted to you because you have something that they want, or you're living a life that they want, or you have accomplished things that they want to accomplish. So you really can use Instagram as a way to showcase that lifestyle and that place that you are living. The other thing about Instagram is that you can use it similar to what I will say in Facebook groups, and join conversations. Like go to other hashtags, like people's posts, comment on them. Like if they ask a question, you can answer it. If they say something profound, you can add to it and really like push it forward. And so really just like play an active role in paying attention to other people's content. And then because so many people are on Instagram, just like they are with Facebook, you can direct message people just like you do with Facebook and say like, hey, I've been looking at your stuff. You are similar to my ideal client. Here's what I do. Would you be game to get on a free like 30-minute call with me? Let me know. And so you can really use Instagram in that same way. Sorry, can e-courses come from a company brand instead of a personal brand? Off topic, sorry, hee hee. No, it's can courses come from a company brand instead of a personal brand? Say a little bit more about what you mean by that, but what I'm guessing you're asking is, can you sell e-courses as a company as opposed of a person? And I guess the question is what do you mean by company? Like if you're talking about like if you build a business and your business is called like, I'm going to make this up a little bit, but it's called like, you know, HealthWorks New York. HealthWorks New York can absolutely sell a course. Okay, yeah, so you have, yeah, okay, Mela May. So you have the brand, and the brand can absolutely sell courses. There is, oh my goodness, I can't think of the company right now, but there is basically, it's a brand, it's two women, and they've come together to do branding work, and so they've, to get them together, they've created a business name, and so for them, they sell courses under that business name. You can absolutely sell courses as a business as opposed to as a person. And would you need to alter your messaging? So your messaging is really about like, I think that's more of a branding question. So it depends on what the brand is of your company. If your brand is really aligned with the topic that you're selling, and I'm sorry, I got to be mindful because I have a client call at 1, so oh, you would need to alter your messaging. Oh yeah, you would totally need to, yes, alter your messaging, and then make sure just make sure everything's aligned. But yeah, you can absolutely sell it as a course for your business. So definitely, lovies, if you have more questions, post them in here. Yes, you will totally talk to me later. And post questions in here if you're watching the replay in the Facebook group. If you're watching it on YouTube or somewhere else, comment here. I will be answering questions. I'll pop in and kind of see what you've got for me. But that's all I've got for today, and I've got to run. But I love you guys lots as always, and this has been awesome. Talk to you soon. Bye.